Well, good evening and welcome everybody to the final of the British Roller Derby Championships 2018. I'm the lovely Beatrix, and joining me on this call is the wonderful
Brom. Good evening everybody, and we also are joined by Izzy, who is going to be leading us off, producing this evening. Izzy Loudon-Queer, thank you so much for making us sound intelligent throughout this call. Welcome to the BBC Sport broadcast of this final game, Tier 2 WFTDA side game, where we are going to see Rebellion Roller Derby, who are going to be playing in red this evening, taking on Norfolk Roller Derby, who are playing in blue.
Thanks, Brom. And we do have a bit of a story about the history of these two teams, how they've played together and things like that. I think it would be really useful for us to get the rosters talked about first of all, and then we'll lead in with all that other information. So leading for Rebellion Roller Derby, I'm going to run through the rosters with you right now. 0-0, Vicky Vale. Number 10, Steph Sentence. 13, Boris. 1865, Unleash Her. 2, Doyle. 20, Wreckin' Ralph. 313, Ginger Snaps. 33, Jess Atomic. Number 4, Mischievous. 455, Booty Vicious. 626, Moonshine. 69, Hench. 7, Extra Celestial. 8, Dewdropper, and 88, Tina Turner.
And that's going to be Blitzkrieg on bench. Lineup manager, Fat Cat Can't Roll Her. Mirror bench, Queen Malice and assistant. Lineup manager is Kiki. And you can see that Norfolk Roller Derby are there playing in blue. They are 1-7, Vixen Mortar, 1-7-3, Cruel Runnings, 1-7-7-6, Filthy Delphia, 2-0, Polly Hedrill, 2-1-2, Danger Moose, 2-5, Velocity Sophie, 2-5-3, Jojo Ubari, 4-6, Penny Sane, 5, Short Circuit, 7-9, Gem Warfare, 8-9, Kelly Kapowski, 9-1-5, Applebite, 9-7, Shell, 9-9-9, Danny Hell, and their bench is Mirror bench, Skippy the Angaroo, Marty McSly, Salmon Siren, Still Magnolius, and the talented Mr. Whipley, all providing crew support.
But right now we have started with the action, and Rebellion Roller Derby already with points on the board. Jamming for them is number 13, that's Boris.
And we have seen the star removed.
So Boris making their way through on another scoring pass. Star pass did happen with Norfolk Roller Derby, and I'm sure we'll get to talk about that in a little while, Brom. But right now Rebellion calling off that jam by that repeated taps on the jammers' hips, bringing the first 2-minute jam of this game to a close. 15 points picked up by Rebellion. Norfolk unable to get any points on the board right now.
So yeah, as we were saying, this is not the first time these two teams have played each other. In fact, this is the third time, and so far Norfolk are yet to take the win over Rebellion, who are joining us from Bedfordshire.
Jamming for Rebellion now, we have Dewdropper, and wearing the star for Norfolk, it's Vixen Mortar. Vixen Mortar is your lead jammer. Dewdropper sitting in the penalty box for a cut track penalty. So this is a power jam for Norfolk. With no jammer on the track for Rebellion, it means they're unable to score points.
So hopefully we are likely to see the first points on the board for Norfolk Roller Derby, and we can see there that Norfolk have picked up lead and are coming in now for that scoring pass as they enter the back of the pack on turn 3 of the track.
Beautiful footwork on the inside line by Vixen Mortar to grab 5 further points for Norfolk, closing that gap between Rebellion now. But Rebellion's jammer has returned to play. They're going to have to complete that initial pass before they can get any points on the board. And jam comes to an end. So Norfolk with a huge 12-point jam there, evening up that score almost. Rebellion sitting at 16, they grabbed 1 point in that last period of play. Norfolk on 12, so 16 plays 12, and we've got 26 minutes in this first half, Brom.
So the last time that these two played each other back in May this year, Rebellion won with 207 points to Norfolk's 194, only a 13-point game. So these two teams have something to settle today on the track.
And that's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Danger Moose from the Norfolk Broads, grabbing lead first, comes into the pack, grabs those 3 points, calls off the jam, Brom, and denies Rebellion the opportunity to score. So we're now looking at a 1-point game. Norfolk, of course, these two teams, they're playing for gold. So it's not just about proving who's the better one since they last played each other, which was just back in the earlier part of this year, but it's also about who's going to go home with that gold medal.
Absolutely. There is metal to play for. Not only that, both teams, because of their astonishing British Championship seasons, will be promoted to that all-important Tier 1 Championships next season.
So even more pressure to perform, and Boris feeling that pressure here, jamming for Rebellion, but picks up a cut track penalty. That's going to be a 30-second sit down in the penalty box, Brom, and it means once again Norfolk are free and open to score without an opposing jammer on the track.
Yeah, Rebellion so far in this game have picked up 4 penalties across the team. They can only get 7 penalties per player before they foul out of the game altogether.
Now this jam is going to run for the full 2 minutes as Philadelphia, who is jamming, wearing that star for Norfolk, and the point scorer, did not pass legally through that pack, so picked up a no pass, no point, no penalty. But it means the jam runs for full 2 minutes, and what we're seeing right now is Boris returning to track. Now Boris, I think, still to complete that initial pass before she can start scoring. That's done. And Norfolk's jammer just a little bit confused for a second there, Brom, as to whether or not she'd picked up a penalty.
Yeah, Philadelphia also has lost the ability to pass that star to the pivot, because Norfolk's pivot is currently sat in the penalty box, so there can't be a star pass right now. Pivot is now standing in the box with 10 seconds left to serve.
And beautifully timed hits raining down from Rebellion on Philadelphia there, pushing them out of bounds and forcing them to recycle back, which gave Boris opportunity to grab more points for Rebellion. Currently sitting at 25-15, Brom, and we're coming into the dying seconds of this jam.
10 seconds remaining. Boris having a little bit of a tough time up against that Norfolk wall of blue right now, but they're looking like they might be finding a gap. Push to the outside, I spoke too soon, and the jam reaches its natural full 2-minute conclusion.
So 5 points picked up by Norfolk Broads takes their overall score to 20. The Rebellion Roller Derby with 13 points means that they jump up to 28 point score, sorry. So an 8-point difference in it. That's absolutely nothing. That's 2 passes around the pack. We're about to reset here, and you can see number 46, it's Penny Slane, jamming for Norfolk.
And that is extra celestial for Rebellion. A very densely populated track, starts to accordion out on turns 1 into 2.
Yeah, Rebellion building that strong 3 wall up the front that you can see there.
But lead has been awarded to Penny Slane. However, at that precise moment that Penny Slane got out the front of the pack, she was knocked to the inside and forced to recycle all the way back, so only now has exited the front.
So completing that initial, still both jammers yet to go through on any kind of scoring pass, and this is the race that we are seeing now. Jammers racing around the track, the pack itself picking up speed to try and get some tactical advantage. They don't want to become points because, of course, as soon as the jammer passes the opposing team's hips legally, then there's points to be had.
Yeah, but not in this case. As you can see here, the jammer chase down that took place meant that Norfolk went, no, we're going to call that off, and we're going to go 0-0 points picked up in the jam. So that is now 2 scoreless jams that we've seen, and 1 for each team, where they've been forced to call it off to shut the other team out from scoring any points.
22 minutes of this first half still to play. Jammers lining up on the jam line once again, and we have number 17, Vixen Mortar for Norfolk.
But we can see at the moment Rebellion are just struggling with a little bit of penalty issues because they have 3 blockers in the box. So busy, in fact, that 2 are currently sat down in the box, which means they have 10 seconds or more remaining, and then 1 is standing, which means they have less than 10 seconds left, and there is 1 Norfolk in the box.
So an absolute micro pack out on track for Rebellion in the red.
So there has been an official timeout that's taking place. Now, I believe that may have been caused. I'm just trying to establish why exactly. The jam started, and then the officials actually called it to stop and called an official timeout. It just gave them a chance to reset the officials. Not 100% sure what that was for.
Booty vicious with the staff of Rebellion, but it is Norfolk who once again pick up that lead jammer status. Vixen Mortar is going to be that jammer out of the pack first of all, as Booty, stuck behind a wall of 2, finally completes that initial, and Vixen Mortar takes the inside line from pretty much unopposed, because of course that blocking contingent of Rebellion sat in the penalty box, means there was plenty of space. You can see here Booty going to the outside line, gets pushed out by the blockers from Norfolk, forced to reset as Vixen takes the inside line, whilst Rebellion's blockers otherwise engaged.
Yeah, and we're seeing another micro pack out there for Rebellion. They still have 2 of those blockers sat in the penalty box because of how short the last jam was. So a slightly easier task for Danger Moose, who demonstrates that for us. Yep. And picks up the lead.
And it is Boris with the start for Rebellion, having no luck right now in getting through the pack. Removes the star cover to try and make easier passage, but Moose just taking around the outside there, shrugging off the advances from Rebellion blockers.
And we've seen Boris complete a star pass to Vicky Vale for Rebellion. Boris struggling to get out, wanting to force Norfolk to try and call it off, to use that star pass tactically to get their jammer out the pack.
So 9 points picked up by the Norfolk Broads there, takes their score, and it's a lead change to them, 33 points, 28 for Rebellion. And actually, you know, the Norfolk Broads have had 3 consecutive lead jammer statuses, which is a massive thing. It means, 1, confidence on the track for the team. And we can see that through power poses here right now. That's what we're seeing on track. Everybody just taking a moment while there's a timeout.
Stretch those fingers out.
Yep.
So just to add to that story as well, this is, we obviously said that these 2 teams played back in May, but this is also a repeat of British Championships 2017. Both of these teams were in the Tier 3 of the WFTDA side, and they both absolutely dominated the Tier 3 in 2017. They both made it to the final, and they both got promoted to Tier 2, which we're seeing today, and they also played for the silver gold medal last year. Last year, Rebellion won that.
So we're feeling like this is a continuation of that story they started in 2017, of that upward trajectory of both teams. We're back to the action right now. Jamming for Norfolk Broads, it's Philadelphia, but Drew drop her from Rebellion, picks up lead. As Philadelphia not back and recycled, and we're seeing another star pass trying to happen from the Norfolk Broads. Drew Dropper not being challenged at all here by the Norfolk Broads blockers. Gets on through on scoring passes, 5 points on the board already. Picks up pace into turns 1 and 2. And the Norfolk Roller Derby blockers finally engage. So evening up the score with that 5-point pass.
Yeah, that first 5-point pass evened out the 2 teams, and then the additional 3 points that were picked up led to Rebellion now taking the lead. A great, closely fought game, which we completely expect from such high-level derby in Tier 2.
So 36 plays 33, 19 and a half minutes left of this first half. We're resetting. The next jam is going to happen. It's number 46, Penny Slane, with the star for Norfolk. 3-1-3. Ginger snaps for Rebellion. I believe it's the first time we've seen ginger snaps jamming so far in this game. Having a little bit of a struggle. Norfolk Broad's jammer knocked to the outside, recycled right the way back. Ginger snaps in the mix at the turn 1. Ginger snaps keeps on pushing, gets impeded by Polyhedral from the Norfolk Broads, who's just marking all over her here, Brom. This fluid 3-wall, difficult but not impossible for Ginger Snaps to break through.
No, and Penny Slane just, Ginger Snaps showing us with the turn on the inside, picking up lead, but Penny Slane is having a much harder time of it.
So Ginger Snaps now stuck behind a wall of 2, waiting for the offense to come in from blockers of Rebellion, and it's a real melee as we go into turn 3 here. Ginger Snaps knocked inside Brom and recycled right the way back.
So we can see that both walls have returned to full strength as the penalty box emptied out. Ginger Snaps is taking down some of the Norfolk opposition, but it's to no avail right now as she falls to the inside of turn 4 and is forced to recycle behind the team.
Polyhedral off to sit in the penalty box for Norfolk with a forearms penalty. And Norfolk also having a bit of a change around with a star pass to 999 Danny Hell, as Penny Slane really struggled to get through those packs from Rebellion.
Yeah, both teams putting up a strong fight there, and I think we're going to see a demonstration of this. What was quite a long jam for only 5 points picked up.
But you see this fluid 3-wall from Norfolk where they just use the entirety of that track, the swinging around, just responding to Rebellion's jammer and the threat that posed of points. 5 points in that last pass though for Rebellion, takes the scores 41-33, 17 minutes left of this first half.
So you can see there Vixen Mortar for Norfolk going up against Extra Celestial for Rebellion.
2 very strong braced walls happening. Rebellion at the back, that 3-wall just keeping Norfolk Broad's jammer at bay. And up front, Rebellion's jammer trying to inch on the inside, Brom, but actually knocked inside and forced to recycle right the way back between the jam and pivot line.
Yeah, just as we approach the first quarter coming to a close, as the 16 minutes remaining of the first periods on the clock, you can see there that Norfolk's Vixen Mortar starts to make a bit of progress but gets caught up, allowing Extra Celestial the additional piece of time to just pick up lead, but only 30 feet between the two jammers.
And actually, 40 seconds to call a lead jammer. In a 2-minute jam, that's a huge chunk of time that your jammer's not able to score points.
And what you can see here is the pack has picked up some serious pace. That's because we have Rebellion with lead. Vixen Mortar has got that initial. Both have the ability to score. So the pace of the pack was put on by Rebellion.
Yeah. Well, it's about who's the more dominant team right now, and Rebellion are certainly showing that, I think, because they are the ones that are dictating the pace and speed much more than Norfolk are. But there's only, how many points in it? I can't even guess. 13 points?
It's a very small differential. and again, it's actually demonstrating something we've seen over the last few years for Rebellion. They're on a 25-game winning streak since February 2016. They haven't lost yet. Norfolk, on the other hand, they've had a few more losses under their belt, but are just as evenly matched team to take Rebellion on.
Well, Rebellion, and it's Boris jamming for them. Pick up lead once again. Norfolk currently have 3 jams where they've been held scoreless from, and this is where the pressure starts to creep in on teams and jammers. Danger Moose with the star for the Norfolk Broads, speeds around that track, tries to catch up to the pack to get in with a chance of scoring some points, but excellent jammer awareness from Boris, and the slowing down of that pack and spreading out of the Rebellion blockers meant it was very difficult, and of course jam was called. So 4 points picked up by Rebellion, no points picked up by Norfolk. 49 plays 33.
And it's also worth saying we've also seen very low point scoring jams up until this point. In the first jam we saw Rebellion pick up 15 points. In the second jam Norfolk responded with 12 points, but since then we've seen nothing beyond 9 points picked up by either side.
Yep, it's really dropped down as the defences of both teams have tightened. And talking about defence, defences. Look at this braced wall up here, right at the front of the pack, just in turn one. Absolute beautiful movement, but Booty Vicious, with that slight turn of the hips and the backward skate, manages to break free of that defence.
Yeah, Filthy Delphia now completes the initial pass, looking to try and hold Rebellion to only one scoring pass. Norfolk trying to reform around her, but it's not worked. She gets through on the full scoring pass, picks up 4 points, but look at that, Rebellion giving away a solitary 1 to Norfolk.
And there you can see that spin from Booty Vicious, which once again just neutralises any of those blocks coming in towards her. So 53 plays 34, 13 minutes left. And we've got number 8 in the red for Rebellion. It's Dew Dropper. And 999, Danny Hell, starting for the first time, I think, in this game on the jam line for Norfolk.
So we're now seeing as well the biggest differential between the two teams so far in the game. It really has grown. Jammer chase downs happening. You can see there Dew Dropper is coming in for the scoring pass. Danny Hell also on the initial comes up to the back of the pack. Rebellion calling it off and giving away another solitary point.
Points mean prizes.
Every little piece counts.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a game of inches at this point. So yeah, there's this huge differential right now, but we've still got 12 minutes left of this half, another 30 minutes of roller derby to play. If the Rebellion team continue to allow those 1 points, it creeps up. And all of a sudden, they get a power jam in the favour of Norfolk Broads, and that can change the whole dynamic.
And there's a mentality thing there as well. To keep giving away points when you're picking up leads isn't as good as going back to the bench, shutting them down time after time.
Let's see what Ginger Snap can do here as lead jammer for Rebellion.
A high block has been assessed on Rebellion's number 2-0, Reckham Ralph.
So Ginger Snap knocked out, recycled right back into turn one by the Norfolk Broads. Number 17, Vixen Mortar with the star for the Broads, also gets knocked out. Oh.
Vixen Mortar goes off for a multiplayer block penalty, so we have a power jam in the favour of Rebellion, and when they have lead, this is the moment for Rebellion to shine and Ginger Snaps to take full advantage.
But let me tell you, Brom, not when your jammer from Rebellion also picks up a cut track penalty, and so we're going to see a jammer switch out. Vixen Mortar sat for their penalty. Ginger Snap will serve the same amount of time in the penalty box that Vixen Mortar sat for. So Vixen Mortar back on track, but Ginger Snap now also being told to return to play. And
also Ginger Snaps, by losing the power of being lead, means that the full time of the jam will run out. 34 seconds remaining of that. Also, just looking at the penalties right now, 14 penalties for Rebellion, only 6 for Norfolk. We're seeing a cleaner game from Norfolk at the moment.
We are seeing a cleaner game, but I think that they need to start taking some more risks to decrease this differential. So Ginger Snap coming round, hunting down more points. Vixen Mortar knocked inside, forced to recycle right behind number 2, Doyle from Rebellion.
Yeah, and we saw that very close Cruel Runnings nearly forcing a cut track penalty on Rebellion's jammer, but she yielded it just the right moment to stop the officials from calling her on a cut.
Rebellion have had 7 consecutive leads.
Wow.
So, you know, stats-wise, that would tell you that they're in a good position. 62 plays 39. Score-wise, they're in an okay position. And 9 out of the 14 jams we've had so far, it's 9 of them that they have, they've been lead. Forgot the words.
So you can see at the moment pack advantage does sit with Norfolk, with Rebellion having 1 blocker sat in the penalty box. But it hasn't stopped Rebellion. It's Boris that picks up lead for them. Boris coming in on that scoring pass right on turn 1, comes to the back of the pack with speed, and look at that tight footwork on the inside of the apex.
Absolutely fantastic. Danger Moose though, removing the start, passing the cover to the pivot.
And you can see that unfortunately, Rebellion just not noticing that pass had taken place. It opened up some space on the inside of turn 2.
Well, I tell you why. Danny Hell, who took the start, was incredibly sneaky with that. I thought I'd seen it, then I second-guessed myself, watched again, and just as you saw her exiting the turn, exiting the pack, Rebellion blockers also realised, hang on a minute, this is now the new jammer.
And that is the art of a good star pass. So we still have Boris's lead. Both jammers now scoring. Boris can call it off at any point. That's the point that they decide to call it, and leaving the penalty box empty and ready for a full complement of skaters to enter the track.
You're just seeing here Danny Hell chasing down, having picked up those points for Norfolk, and Boris calling it off. Now again, it's about, did we give away too many points? You know, did we let points happen? And I have to say, Rebellion definitely. So that was the biggest jam, Brom.
Yeah, it's matched like for like the first jam. 15 points picked up by Rebellion in jam 1 and jam 15. So now we're back in play. We've got Extra Celestial for Rebellion, Philadelphia for Norfolk.
From our bird's eye view here, we can see the defences from both teams, the bridging that is happening along this turn. 1865, Unleasher trying to keep her own teammates in play up at the front. That's the Rebellions in the red. But can't let this backpack stretch out from, because otherwise that's penalty central for Rebellion. What they don't want to do right now is lose blockers when they've trapped that jammer so effectively at the front of this pack.
And if you're watching that thinking, why is there a solitary skater stood on their own, seemingly doing nothing? It's actually because they're being very tactful. They are connecting the front and the back of the pack to stop the rest from calling no pack, and then that could force a penalty call.
1 minute in, and Extra Celestial finally picks up that lead jammer for Rebellion, but absolutely had to edge forward against number 79, Gem Warfare from the Norfolk Broads, who marked her all the way up the straightaway and into the turn. Norfolk Broads doing a tactic we've seen quite a lot. They're passing that star over to the pivot. That's 253, Jojo Yubari. But once again, Rebellion in the driving seat with that lead jammer status are able to call off the jam and not give Norfolk opportunity to score points. So 5 picked up for Rebellion, takes their scoreline to 10 picked up by Rebellion, takes their scoreline to 87. Norfolk Broad sitting at 43.
Yeah, so now 44 points sits between the two teams. So the score differential now is bigger than Norfolk's actual score, and as we go into the last 6.5 minutes of the period, we're going to want to see that come together if we're going to continue to see this cat and dog fight.
But Booty Vicious from Rebellion, Brom, wants to see extra points on the board for them. Picks up lead jammer, had a little bit of a miss start, and then just sped up that straightaway. And here we go again, beautiful offensive work from 69, Hench of Rebellion, who literally comes in like a wrecking ball to clear those Norfolk Broad blockers out of Booty's way and allow that free passage.
So we're seeing a little bit of penalty problems on the Norfolk side. They've lost 2 of their blockers, both of them now standing, less than 10 seconds remaining to serve, as Booty Vicious returns to the track, having been knocked to the outside of turn 1. Norfolk coming incredibly tightly together as their blockers return to track, Rebellion mimicking that action.
Kelly Kapowski and number 20 there for Polyhedral for Norfolk were working as a twosome at the front of that pack, trying to hold Booty Vicious as long as possible. They did a great job, but eventually started to just run out of the space required to do it. They were stretching that pack, didn't have the bridge that we talked about before, and Booty was able to get through. 10 points picked up for Rebellion means it's a 97-43. So Norfolk have only scored 10 points in the last 10 jams, Brom. And
it could be the unpicking of Norfolk if they are not careful.
To answer that, Rebellion have scored 62 in the last 10 jams.
Yeah, and that could be a downfall moment for Norfolk. But now we see Norfolk have a full strength wall. They've recycled Dewdropper all the way to the back. But Dewdropper's nimble footwork means that she's nearly close to getting lead. It denied Vixen Mortar for the first time for Norfolk in six jams. This is the 7th. Sorry, since Jam 7, the first time that Norfolk have got lead. So Vixen Mortar being forced into the call-off. Rebellion quick to get out the pack.
Well, 3 points picked up by Norfolk there in that jam, and 2 for Rebellion, inching them ever closer to the 100 mark. 99 plays 46. We've got 4 minutes left, Brom, and we're watching the teams line up for yet another jam. 4 minutes left of the first half.
4 minutes left. We still have, both teams still have their timeouts available if they would like to use it, and they also have their official reviews available if they would like to use those as well. So we might see that before the end of the first period.
Well, we're seeing the setup here. Boris on the jam line for Rebellion, but it is Danger Moose for the Norfolk Broads, and Danger Moose, despite that challenge from Boris straight off the mark, able to scooch on through and pick up lead for Norfolk.
Boris all of a sudden starting to really work into that Norfolk wall, create some space.
Well, you know, Danger Moose just created space of their own by jumping the apex, the curve of the turn, Brom.
And
go on, please.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I saw that Boris very quickly, very quickly, in fact, took the star off, handed it to Vicky Vale. Vicky Vale got straight out of the pack and forcing off that call-off.
And that's the great thing about having your pivot on track with you and not in the penalty box, is you've got options when it's just not working for you. You could, as a skater, you could come up against a wall where you just can't find those spaces, but you know that your teammate, your pivot, can do that job.
Is ready there for you.
So great teamwork.
Yeah, and you could just see in that replay, Danger Moose making such great track awareness, really using the inside line. So that is the first time that Rebellion haven't scored since Jam 7 as we go into the 20th jam of the first period.
So Norfolk starting to figure them out and shut them down. But it is Ginger Snaps from Rebellion who is your lead jammer right now. 2 minutes 22 left on the clock. Philadelphia with the star for Norfolk, and you can see here Philadelphia in the top corner of your screen just being held in that 3 wall, removes the star. We're either going to see a stash or maybe a pass, and indeed it is a pass. You can see the pivot comes in on the outside, 999 Danny Hell, and picks up that star from Philadelphia. Great work, but unfortunate timing as Ginger Snaps called off the jam and ended that period of play. 5 points picked up by Rebellion. No points for Norfolk. 55 plays 104.
If you're watching this and thinking, I'd like to give roller derby a go, or I'd like to go along to a local event and see what's going on, firstly head to the BBC Sport website where you can watch some instructional videos on the rules and how the game works, as well as if you go to the UK Roller Derby Association's website, you can get a breakdown of the teams across the country and find one of your nearest league.
And why wouldn't you after watching this? Number 8, Dewdropper, is your lead jammer for Rebellion. Stuck in the pack on that first pass, 2-1-2. Danger Moose. Not often that we see Danger Moose being contained, and certainly not in this game so far has Danger Moose been so contained by those Rebellion blockers. But that crowded around and no offence coming in from Norfolk's blockers means it was a pretty difficult task for Danger Moose to get through. Norfolk's blockers now dropping back to try and contain Dewdropper. They're not able to do that. Dewdropper comes in on the inside, and Norfolk, just with a slight lag in switching from defence to offence, means that jammers are still stuck in the pack. We're seeing a star pass from Norfolk's jammer now to their pivot, 2-5-3. That's Jojo Yubari. But Rebellion on an absolute scoring streak here. 5 further points for Dewdropper on the board. That's a 15-point jam so far. Just as I say that, Jojo Yubari through 4 points on the board for Norfolk. And Dewdropper's just going to run this one long for Rebellion. Keeps on going, 5 further points.
And with only 10 seconds left on the period clock, 30 seconds left on the jam clock, they seem to be quite happy to give away just a few points at this period because Dewdropper is just soaring around the track, collecting the points, but it gets called off. And that brings us to an end of the first period.
And Brom, you know, that was the biggest scoring jam of the half. 20 points picked up by Rebellion. You can see Dewdropper here tests that inside line defence, moves to the outside, Hench is there from Rebellion to just stop the flow of Norfolk Broad blockers in getting towards her jammer, and Dewdropper was out and through and picking up lead and getting those points.
So in 2017, when these two teams played each other in the final of the Tier 3 WFTDA side, it was a 129-point win for Rebellion. We've got a much closer points differential right now, but wonder what each team's going to bring to the track in the second period.
Well, I can't wait, but you'll have to. 14 minutes and we'll be back with more roller derby action.
And welcome back to the final of the Tier 2 WFTDA side game here at British Championships 2018 in Stoke, where Rebellion Roller Derby are currently leading 124 to Norfolk's 63.
And we're just going to take a quick look at the penalties on the board here, Brom. Now, penalties do make a difference as we go into the second half, especially for jammers. Having a quick check-in, Dewdropper, who's been on rotation for Rebellion, only with one cut track penalty. And I don't really see anybody else. Boris also with a cut track penalty, and Ginger Snaps with, interestingly, all three of those jammers with cut track penalties. But Booty Vicious, another main rotation jammer, 455, with a clean sheet.
And you could see there that Cruel Runnings, maybe just a small area for concern, who has picked up 5 penalties at the moment, including 3 of those as forearms.
Well, Cruel Runnings has been quite instrumental in the pack for Norfolk, looking to try and keep the Rebellion jammers at bay. And of course, once you're doing those heavy rotations, once you're in that pack and making those moves, it can sometimes lead to just grabbing more penalties.
Just to give you a little bit of an insight as to where these two teams currently sit in UK roller derby and in European roller derby, we have Rebellion, who went from 225th in Europe a couple of years ago to 33rd in Europe presently, whereas Norfolk right now are 32nd in Europe. In the UK, it's a little bit more ahead for Rebellion, who are 14th team in the country, whereas Norfolk are currently 20th in the UK.
So there's not a huge amount of separation in those UK rankings, but in Europe we see that actually it spreads out a little bit more. And as you say, Rebellion have had 25 games unbeaten this year. So we're going to see how the second half plays out. Rebellion in the red at 124, Norfolk Roller Derby in the blue at 63. We see our jammers lining up at the jam line. We have number 13, Boris for Rebellion, 212, Danger Moose for Norfolk. And the packs lining up around the pivot line, dropping back now to almost engulf the jammers as the whistle goes to start this jam. Now Danger Moose taking it to the outside, finds that door shut by the Rebellion blockers, but Boris able to find the spaces left open and picks up lead for Rebellion.
Yeah, and you could see there that Wreckham Ralph really pushing out Danger Moose to the outside of turn 1, and now that tight red 3-wall that is Rebellion just constantly reforming around Danger Moose, shutting her down, denying the initial pass. Are we going to see another strong start to the period from Rebellion?
I think so. The pack has kind of come to a standstill around the turn 2, turn 3 straight away. Boris is able to capitalise on this because Rebellion's blockers are running a disruption, not allowing Norfolk to build any kind of formation, any walls, any defensive strategies against Boris. Boris takes the outside line, checks in though, but I'm just looking at the ref. Forearms penalty actually assessed to Boris, Brom, and so this is a power jam now for the Norfolk Broads and for Danger Moose.
So we've got 45 seconds left of the jam. Danger Moose yet to get that initial pass though. An amazing job from Rebellion, who have held on to Danger Moose now for nearly 1 minute and 30 seconds. Danger Moose only now removing the star from her helmet. You can see her looking around to see where's my pivots, and there it is, a very seamless, tactful and strategized star pass.
And that's the second time we've seen that, with Danny Hell as pivot, coming in with the swoop to grab the star almost unseen from the Rebellion blockers. Danny Hell though now, caught in the middle between Jam and Pivot Line, finding difficulty in getting past this 3-wall built by Rebellion. Takes it to the outside. Boris back on track and in play as Jammer for Rebellion. Well, Jam comes to an end, Brom, and Norfolk unable to make any gains.
Right now, I'm feeling as out of breath as the players on the track. That was certainly an intense first 2.5, 3 minute start to the second period.
Boris picking up 14 in that last passage of play, and actually the most successful jammer of the game with 48 points on the board. So 48 of the 138 scored by Boris.
That's an incredible percentage of Rebellion's total score. Just a testament to how good Boris is when on track and built with a great offence and defence strategy to boot.
2-5-3, Jojo Uberi with the star for Norfolk, and she's pushing forward, pulling out and picking up lead for Norfolk, but hot on her wheels it is the jammer for Rebellion, number 8, Jude Dropper.
And this is the first time that we've seen Jojo Uvari get leads.
Yeah, Jojo has took the star as pivot a few times in the first half, but this is the first time out from the jammer line. So no points scored there. Rebellion shutting that down, putting the pressure on Norfolk and not allowing them to feel safe enough to continue through that pass. And you can see Jojo's exit of the pack there, and it was literally by millimetres getting through and past those blockers of Rebellion.
And it just is a real testament as well, having it from our officials, that they've seen to the millimetre, like you said, who exactly was it that got out as lead first. So just as the jam was about to get underway, we've seen that an official review has been called by Norfolk.
We did, and interestingly, the skaters on track weren't quite aware. We saw 3-1-3 Ginger Snap lining up against Norfolk's jammer, and straight off the line, just laid down a block on Norfolk's jammer to get going.
Yeah.
So.
And you can see actually bench coach Blitzkrieg, who is in the red t-shirt there on your screen, doesn't seem too happy because I think in his eyes the jam had started, but now it's been brought in for an official review. So what we'll do, so this gives them an opportunity to be able, for the teams to be able to tell the officials they were unhappy with something that happened in the previous jam, and for them to question that and either get a penalty rescinded or a penalty added to the other team. So what we'll do is we'll tell you exactly what that was as soon as we get it.
Now these official reviews do also give opportunity for both teams to just take a moment and a reset. Rebellion have got 2 blockers sat in the penalty box, with Norfolk's pivot sat in the penalty box, and you can see there. So Micropack out on track for Rebellion as we start this jam. We're going to give you an update in just a moment about that official review. We're going to go straight into this next jam. We have lining up for Rebellion 3-1-3, it's Ginger Snap, and 2-1-2 for Norfolk Broads in the blue, Danger Moose. Yeah. Well, Ginger Snap just edging onto that inside line, Brom, to grab the lead jammer.
Yeah, now 72 points sitting between the two teams. Ginger Snap's Rebellion looking to edge out that points differential, but Danger Moose out the front for initial pretty quickly as well. You can see now Danger Moose coming in for the scoring pass.
And pretty much following the pivot of Rebellion to get through that pack, but picks up a cut track penalty, so does not follow quite as legally. This means it is a power jam in favour of Rebellion. And again, what does that mean? It means the jam, the point scorer for Norfolk, is sitting for 30 seconds in that penalty box. They cannot score points at this time. Rebellion with the opportunity, with the only point scorer on track, the opportunity to rack up some points.
Yeah, also we're seeing a full complement of blockers on both sides, with Norfolk's 999 Danny Hell laying a great timed hit to knock them out. So as the jam is called off, Rebellion have chosen to ice Norfolk's jammer, and she's trapped in the penalty box. So going into the next jam, it will be only one jammer on track, only one potential point scorer, and that is Rebellion.
During that replay there, you saw some fantastic work from 915. That is Applebite who just tried to slow down Rebellion's jammer. This time, as everybody lines up on the pivot line, Rebellion's jammer finds no hardship in getting through and picking up lead. Have you got an update on that official review?
I have. So the official review was called by Norfolk because they queried the fact that no points had been added to their score during that jam. The officials confirmed that 3 points were meant to have been given to them, to their score, so they retain their official review. They can call another one, and 3 more points were added to their score.
Thanks, Bron. Well, no points added to the score during that last passage of play. Rebellion able to pick up 4, and that was from Extra Celestial, number 7, the jammer. But the Norfolk Broads unable to make any headway. Of course, they started with their jammer in the penalty box.
So we have a full complement of skaters on the track as Boris takes on Jojo Yubari.
So familiar matchup, Brom, because we saw this just a few jams ago, and Jojo was successful in grabbing lead that time. This time, it's going to be a bit more of a struggle. Reckon Ralph with the knockout and recycle back. Up front, we see Boris against the 2-wall.
And look at Danny Hell once again. Number 253 is really pushing through.
Jojo Yubari 253, the jammer for Norfolk, trying to find those spaces, Bron, but being shut down. 626 Moonshine with the knock to the inside forces that recycle back. Jojo still on the initial pass as Boris is coming in. 5 points on the board already, and they're going to be hunting down some more.
So you can see Boris is re-entering your screen, comes in for the second scoring pass, while at the front of the pack, Rebellion are just not moving. A great reference point actually being the jam line. You can see that they've barely moved 10 feet in the last 15 seconds, now just giving up a little bit of space. You see the officials are looking out for the out of play called. It's called, and Rebellion are forced to release Jojo Yubari to complete the initial.
Meanwhile, Boris at the back of this pack being knocked out and recycled right the way back, drops behind to meet Jojo as she comes in for a scoring pass, lays down a hit, and then jam comes to an end. So 7 points picked up by Rebellion there, and Norfolk once again shut out of scoring opportunities. This replay here of Boris being escorted right to the outside, and then you see number 20 from Norfolk Broads, Polyhedral, just with that final push out, that final hit out with the shoulder straight into the centre of the chest to take them over the line.
So the jam is on. We are seeing right now that it is a power jam start for Rebellion, something we've seen already so far in this period. And Dewdropper taking up the mantra of jammer and then lead jammer as well.
Well, so at the back of this pack we have number 25, Philosophy, just trying to slow down Rebellion. Obviously, Jojo Yubari sat in that penalty box for the Norfolk Broads, so this is a power jam. Jojo picking up a forearms penalty during that last passage of play. He's returned to track now to try and score points, but obviously still has the initial pass to complete, and Rebellion's blockers not making that an easy task at all.
And you can see that the pack moved apart like Skittles on a bowling alley there, and just gave some space to get through and complete another scoring pass for Rebellion, and to give Jojo the opportunity to get through on initial, forcing the call off.
So 29 points scored so far in this half for Rebellion, 3 points only for Norfolk. And in the replay here you see this huge hit coming in, and that was from number 20, Polyhedral, hitting and laying down that block on the Rebellion jammer.
So just 20 minutes of gameplay remains, and you can see that we have got to that point in the game where there is 101 points that sits between the two teams. Rebellion, ever since halfway through the first period, have just started to get away further and further from Norfolk's scoreline.
Norfolk, though, not allowing their heads to drop here. Booty Vicious with the star for Rebellion, caught in that web of blue at the front of this pack, having to reset and just try again, trying to find some space and speed and momentum to get through. But 2-1-2, Danger Moose also trying to make headway. It looks like they could actually sneak lead Jammer here if they just get past this one last person. But unfortunately, Booty Vicious, or fortunately for Booty Vicious, pips her to the post, picks up lead for Rebellion once again.
So Danger Moose exits the pack on the initial pass as Booty Vicious now re-enters on a scoring pass. But we've seen Norfolk have fallen foul of a couple of penalties. They've lost 2 blockers. Makes Booty Vicious passage through the pack that little bit easier.
Danger Moose goes in for an apex jump, does not land it quite the way they would have liked, and picks up a cut track penalty for their troubles, Brom, which means power jam once again in favour of Rebellion. And Booty Vicious just going to keep running this. Already 4 points on the board.
So, I mean, what we saw in the first period was Rebellion took more risks and therefore picked up more penalties. But when they took those risks, it worked in their favour and they scored the points. Norfolk now, in the second period, are trying to take a few more risks, picking up those penalties, but they're not scoring the points.
Yeah. And it's those high tariff moves that jammers make when they're under pressure to score those points. So 2 track cuts for Danger Moose. You know, in the first half, that was a nice clean penalty sheet for Danger Moose, but now we're seeing those penalties slowly start to tick up.
And we've got an official timeout, and that just gives the officials an opportunity to check that the scores are right. The time is synced from the centre of the track, where we have a jam timer keeping track of the score, the time, along with our scoreboard officials as well. It gives a great opportunity to say a big thank you to those officials. They are pretty miffed. X-Ray Ted, Errington, Cyborg, Julius Caesar, Quad Damage, Big Whoop, Says Who, Ref Metal, Duke Special, Bomb Weasley, Mischief, All Askew, Hannah, Robert John Lawrence, She-Wolf, The Incredible Bulk, Steph Metal, Lucifer and Judge Gled. Obviously, being an amateur sport, all of the officials and the players and everybody involved does it for the love of the sport, and travel from all over the country, in fact from across Europe, to join us here at the British Champs 2018.
And I think it's worth saying as well that if you are sat at home and you're thinking, this is the sport for me but I don't really fancy being on track, there are lots of other roles that you can come into in roller derby, such as officiating, both on and off skates. But right now we've got to get back to this action right here, Bron, because we've got Ginger Snap coming up against Danger Moose, who's standing in that penalty box. So Ginger Snap with a power start gets through the pack. 20 seconds though nearly to get called lead jammer, so testament to the defences of Norfolk. Danger Moose released, back on track and in play as Ginger Snap comes up the inside line, Brom, one-footed to grab those points. It's all legal, and put extra points on the board for Rebellion.
That is some talent and great judgment as well, as Ginger Snaps comes in now on the second scoring pass, breaks through, and we've got another power jam on our hands. Unfortunately, Danger Moose is really falling foul of some penalties right now, picking up a forearms call.
Well, Norfolk Broad's blockers working in tandem there to try and slow down or knock out Ginger Snap, which they do. Ginger Snap was forced to recycle and decided to call off the jam. 14 points picked up by Rebellion in that last passage of play though, so inching ever closer to the 200 mark. And in this replay here, you're going to see this one-footed manoeuvre.
Smooth. It's also a good opportunity to say, you know, when we say about forearms penalties, back blocks, low blocks, high blocks, obviously there are areas of the body that you cannot block to. It would just be unsafe to do, as well as areas of your body you cannot block with. And so when you do that, you're going to go and take 30 seconds out in the sin bin.
You certainly are. Well, Boris is the jammer out on track for Rebellion, as it is a power jam start once again for them. Boris taking the straightaway, but knocked out, forced to recycle. No lead jammer called yet, that was left wide open. And Danger Moose back on track and in play, sneaked through that pack, Brom, with very little fanfare to grab lead jammer.
Also an opportunity, Boris got through on a knife edge on the outside to complete the initial. Boris is about to enter on the scoring pass, but Danger Moose, as not today, calls it off and shuts down the ability for Rebellion to score.
And that's really the strategic advantage. Here you can see Danger Moose just comes in, there's a 2-wall up front, but that beautiful manoeuvre, the flick of the hips to go sideways and then putting on the burst of speed to stop those Rebellion blockers from hitting down, means that she was able to grab lead jammer.
And that was the third power start for Rebellion this period, with Danger Moose sitting in the box, and only the second lead for Norfolk this period, with the Jam 10 now in play.
Well, it is back to Rebellion once again taking that lead, as Extra Celestial is your lead jammer from Rebellion. Out on track is Philadelphia, and Philadelphia with that huge hit down, just as we see Extra Celestial also feeling the pressure from Norfolk on the inside line. Both jammers forced to recycle behind the back of the pack, Brom, because obviously if they came in anywhere else they'd be picking up cut track penalties and off to that penalty box. So both jammers forced to reset, and we see Extra Celestial at the back here just going into turn one, trying to pick off these Norfolk Broad blockers. Meanwhile, Norfolk passing the star over to Vixen Mortar. But once again, Rebellion in that driving seat as lead jammer. That tactical advantage is that when you are lead jammer, you can call off the jam. Just watch here as number 88 just leads that knockdown on Philadelphia, completely shuts down any kind of passive play. Tina Turner with that fantastic hit from Rebellion.
Yeah, now we're seeing 194 playing 67, 127 points sitting between the two teams. What we're seeing right now is almost the exact same score differential that these two teams finished in when they played the British champs in 2017.
Wowza, so the story repeats. Dewdropper through and lead jammer for Rebellion. Jojo Yubari for Norfolk Broads completes the initial, coming round at pace. But it is once again Rebellion's prerogative and right, as they are lead jammers, to be able to call off the jam.
Just picking up a modest 3 points, but 3 points nonetheless brings them ever closer to the double century mark. And we can see that all players, bar one Norfolk blocker, are on the track. So pack advantage will sit with Rebellion as we go into the 12th jam.
Philadelphia lining up behind Booty Vicious at the start of this jam, Brom. Doesn't help anyway, because she's knocked inside and recycled right the way back. Booty Vicious up front with one to pass. That looks like number 915. Applebite, and Booty Vicious is through and called lead.
Yeah, meanwhile, Philadelphia, you can see, is just caught up in that cacophony of players and has removed the helmet cover. It's currently held in hand. Pivot is really close by, ready for the pass. You can see the Pivot's hand is actually there, ready to take it, should she want to pass it over. Are they looking for a coy pass? And it doesn't happen, it doesn't come to fruition. You can see that was a great game of cat and mouse.
Yeah, and especially because they have actually played that tactic before, so Rebellion would be looking out for it. Booty Vicious coming in now on another scoring pass. Had gone one-on-one with Applebite in the last round, but Applebite ended up in the penalty box. This time goes one-on-one with Vixen Mortar, but jam comes to an end. 9 points picked up for Rebellion. Norfolk Broads once again held scoreless. And you can see here, just Booty Vicious just scooching on round past Applebite as Applebite picks up that penalty and is no longer able to continue blocking.
So again, just as we started the last jam, there is one Norfolk blocker in the box, so a pack advantage sitting with Rebellion. Instant knockout to Ginger Snaps, but we're seeing a cut track penalty has been given on Norfolk's jammer.
Oh, so Norfolk Broad, that was Moose. Once again, another cut track penalty for Danger Moose. That's 3 out of the 4 penalties that Danger Moose has being cut tracks. And there was a moment of daylight where Norfolk was sure to get that lead jam call, but with that penalty, that dream's absolutely shut down. Ginger Snaps is the lead jammer, however, knocked outwards and recycled right the way back into the turns 3 and 4, comes in to run the gauntlet, Bron, but then says, you know what, I've got my 4 points, I'm just going to call off this jam.
With an 11.5 minutes left on the clock, Rebellion really aren't wanting to give anything away, and you can see that moment where she made complete collision with the pack, calls it off. And it's another power start for Rebellion, and I think we're seeing this is how Norfolk are being unpicked.
Yeah, little by little. as Oasis might say. Number 13, Boris with the start. Danger Moose standing in the penalty box. Well, Boris able to pick up lead. Well, Danger Moose returns to play, sneaks on the outside, shut down, tries to go for the inside line. Forced outside once again by the Rebellion blockers. We're seeing this fluid 3-wall. But Boris at the back of this pack, waiting for the offence, which comes to get through, pick up points, 4 in total. Great work there by number 4 from Rebellion, Mischievous, who just opened the inside line for Boris to get through and grab those points.
And Boris, there you go, and there's a great example of it.
And
Boris, there's the can opening. Boris takes full advantage, sees it happening, gets through and calls off the jam.
And you know, for jammers, Brom, you've really got to have that opportunity to be able to put a burst of speed on when you see those moments, those spaces to get on through.
So Extra Celestial gets lead for Rebellion. We're seeing Jojo Yubari back as jammer. Now, Penny Slane hasn't been jamming this period, so perhaps that's why we're seeing Yubari come in the second period.
Well, Jojo Yubari knocked out, recycled back, comes in to the 4-wall from Rebellion. Some support comes in the form of Gem Warfare. However, can't land the hits on the Rebellion blockers, to be fair, and it gives opportunity for Rebellion's jammer to get on through, pick up those 5 points and call off the jam.
So what we've now seen this is the biggest points differential between these two teams in the games that they've ever played each other. You might be thinking, oh, that's okay, because they're both going to be promoted in the division, they're both going to go home with a medal, but also the points differential in this game will affect their rankings in Europe and in the UK. So both teams will be looking to try and win or lose by as little as they can, or win by as much as they can, so it doesn't have too much of detrimental effect.
It's an aftershock, isn't it? It's not just about this game, it's about the aftershocks that go into the next season.
Absolutely.
Dewdropper with lead comes in on this scoring pass. 2 up front from Norfolk, trying to slow down, but out of play called. They have to let Dewdropper go. She's through, picking up 5 points now for Rebellion.
Vicky Vale on a great hit out to Philadelphia and the recycle. Philadelphia has removed the helmet cover, went to go to a pass to the pivot, number 999 Danny Hell, but decides to retain hold of it. But now Danny Hell has gone to the penalty box anyway, so that chance of a star pass has been shut down.
Dewdropper not letting up here, comes into the concertina pack in between turns 3 and 4, passes through and picks up further points. Let's just have a quick check in with the penalties, Brom, as we're going 8 minutes into this last half.
Yeah, because what we're seeing is Norfolk have really been picking up those penalties in the second period. So far, you can see Cruel Runnings is sitting on 6 penalties, so 1 shy of a foul now. Appleby also on that 6 penalty mark, along with Danny Hell. So they've got 3 high rotation players that are all at risk of not completing this game. Yeah.
Booty Vicious is jamming for Rebellion. Up for Norfolk, it's Jojo Yubari, but Booty Vicious, your lead jammer. And we're going to see if Booty Vicious can put further points on the board in this second half. Rebellion having already scored 110.
110 points this period, and they've managed to hold Norfolk to only 4 points in the period in the last 23 minutes. Yeah. That is incredible.
Yeah. Checking in with the jammer, Jojo just sees daylight but knocked out, going to be recycled right the way back. That's number 2, Doyle, with the drawback you can see on your screens. Meanwhile, Booty Vicious takes that inside line pretty much unopposed. And number 10, Steph Sentence, in the mix for Rebellion, just keeping Jojo Yubari at bay. Jojo Yubari really having some struggle here. No offense help coming from her teammates. Means she's left to run that gauntlet of Rebellion blockers alone, Brom.
But another 14 points picked up by Rebellion. A quite high scoring jam for the game.
You can see Booty Vicious just making it out of that pack, shrugging off short circuit to get through and pick up lead. One blocker in the penalty box for Norfolk.
So they've only been 4 jams this half that have been 14 points or more. So it's very much been a case of Rebellion slowly getting that lead, but consistently getting the points throughout the period.
Yeah. Ginger Snaps lead for Rebellion now as Danger Moose in the pack sees daylight, but a whole lap behind Ginger Snaps as Ginger comes in on a scoring pass, calls off the jam just as Danger Moose hits the scoring area but does not pass any hips, so does not pick up those points. 4 further for Rebellion takes the score to 253. Norfolk at 67, and we've got 5 minutes 33 left of this half.
You can see that Rebellion are incredibly happy with where they're at. Smiles on the bench. It's a calm, collective bench that's being led by Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg, of course, their bench is a Team England men's player, as well as plays for Southern Discomfort, Roller Derby in London. And coaches Wales, Team Wales, yeah.
Oh, Extra Celestial making it out of the pack for lead jammer for Rebellion. Up on the outside, Philadelphia keeping upright inbound, shrugging off those hits, but finds themselves surrounded by a 3-wall once again as Extra Celestial takes the inside line, pretty much unopposed from the Norfolk Broads blockers to grab 5 further points for Rebellion. Oh, beautiful, comes in, looks to jump the apex Brom, but 173 Cruel Run-ins from Norfolk Broads was there and ready, and you see that huge hit and lay down, which forces Extra Celestial to reset behind all of those blockers.
Yeah, and that was a great example of why we wear the protective gear that we wear. You could hear the knees slam onto the floor, but cushioned by those knee pads on the fall, but being recycled all the way back now. Norfolk's jammer, Philadelphia, is having such a hard time at trying to get through.
Well, 4 minutes left of this game, but Norfolk able to put points on the board during that period of play, and here we see Rebellion's jammer coming in, takes off, but that fantastically timed hit from Cruel Run-ins just stops that dream short. It may have been that Extra Celestial believed they could fly, but Cruel Run-ins just took away that dream.
And that is the first time that Norfolk have put any points on their score since Jam 9 this period. But it is another Rebellion lead. Dewdropper picks that up. Jojo Yubari at the front of the pack, just coming up against the last 2 Rebellion players. You can see the bridging from 88 taking place to connect the front and the back of the pack together.
And Jojo Yubari is knocked out and recycled as Dewdropper goes 1-on-1 up front with Polyhedral. Polyhedral takes the tumble though, and Dewdropper able to grab 4 points. Jojo Yubari once again challenging the walls of Rebellion. Gets past number 13. Finally makes it through, but this is their initial pass from. She's not into a scoring run until right now actually, and Rebellion not calling off this jam, so Jojo Yubari with opportunities here to grab some points.
You can see that Rebellion, I think when they've got such a big lead over Norfolk now, they're willing to test some of the endurance of both their own players, but also put Norfolk under that extra piece of pressure to actually go through and see as much of the jam out as possible.
Boris up front marking Jojo Yubari with the hit out, joined by number 2 Doyle, and they're going to force that recycle back as we see Dewdropper just skating around this track, shrugging off blocks left, right and centre to grab 18 points so far in this jam.
Norfolk still yet to put those points on their score, still frozen out at 70. 23 now picked up by Dewdropper in the jam, and this is the biggest jam of the game. Rebellion, I'm sure, running this jam because there's only 1 minute and 43 seconds left on that clock.
But you know, Jojo Yubari ground down the blockers of Rebellion to grab those points for Norfolk. 4 on the board for them, and worth just as much, I'm sure, in that team's hearts as the 26-point jam that Rebellion have just put up. 287 plays 74, Bron. We've got 1 minute 22 left of this half, and indeed of this game.
Yeah, and what we're seeing is Rebellion have just stormed away with this. They've played a slightly cleaner second period than they did the first, with less penalties. Norfolk having themselves rattled a little bit, and no foul outs as yet, but 3 of those players on 6 penalties as Ginger Snaps picks up lead for Rebellion.
Philadelphia pushing forward, 2 left to pass up front from Rebellion, but Ginger Snaps already coming in for a scoring pass, hits the back of the pack and picks up a backblock penalty, Brom. This is power jam now in favour of Norfolk. Now nobody is suggesting in the 1.5 minutes we've got less that Norfolk Broad are going to suddenly win this game. It's just not possible. But
213 points to try and get.
But Philadelphia can play for as many points as possible here. Norfolk Broad with that front 3 wall coming in, they're just going to try and stop and slow down Philadelphia. They do that with the knockout, and they're going to pull back and recycle. Norfolk Broad's blockers now have the opportunity and must take the opportunity to play some very active offence.
And because we have the jammer for Rebellion, Ginger Snap, sat in the box, it will mean that the jam clock will run out and the period clock expiring. This will be the final jam.
So Ginger Snaps back on track and in play, sees the front of the pack. And number 5 from the Norfolk Broads, that is Short Circuit, tries to slow down but cannot. Philadelphia knocked out once again and recycled right the way back as Ginger Snaps comes in for points. Gets hit out though by Cruel Run-ins. Short Circuit once again trying to just slow down and disrupt Ginger Snaps, but Ginger Snaps will not be shaken from her mission in this jam, Brom.
No, look, and you can see there's 10 seconds left of this game as the jam will run to its natural conclusion.
Ginger Snaps grappling at the back. Up front, Philadelphia trying to find the spaces, but Brom, time has come to an end.
And that will mean that Rebellion have gone unbeaten since February 2016. 26 games in a row now. They've seen there. Look at the jubilation from the bench.
And quite rightly as well, of course, they will be now receiving the gold medal in the medal ceremony in a little while.
Yeah, so don't go anywhere because we'll be bringing you that awards ceremony live here on BBC Sport. But let's just take a moment to look at how the first half played out against the second half, and maybe where Norfolk's unravelling happened as well. In the first half, we saw 21 jams happen. 7 of those leads were for Norfolk, 13 of them for Rebellion. We did have 1 2-minute jam where there was no lead. In the second half, we had 21 jams. Norfolk only got 2 leads. 19 of those were in Rebellion's favour.
And it was that dominance out on track from Rebellion. From the get-go, it was clear their vision was to get lead, be in the driving seat of those jams, have that tactical advantage, and just call it off, stop the bleed if Norfolk were able to grab points.
And so that is the final score. Our officials have verified the points that were picked up. It is official. Norfolk 79, but Rebellion with their highest win over Norfolk ever, 299 points. And also a great moment for Rebellion. Tina Turnher is going to be retiring after this game, after British Champs 2018.
But Tina Turnher was a pivotal blocker on the rotation for Rebellion, really doing some great work at marking Norfolk's jammers throughout their time on the track. So what a way to end your career in roller derby.
It's certainly one hell of a way to go out. And if you're thinking, like we said, I would like to be part of that. I would like to have a go at playing, officiating, either on skates or off skates. Maybe you think yourself as one of the commentators or announcers, maybe you're a voice. Then please, by all means, find your local league. Head to the UK Roller Derby Association website, seek them out, social media, or if you go to the BBC Sport website and the BBC Get Inspired website, you can find out more about roller derby. Also a good chance to say thank you to our tournament heads, officials. So we had Dorian Gray, our tournament head NSO, along with Yevil St. Laurent, and our tournament head refs McFarlane and Alan Smith. And we also had apprentice tournament head NSO Sticks and Stoner. So massive thank you for coordinating an officials crew over this 200 game season. So this British Championship season started in February 2018, and this does mark the end of it. There have been divisions in Division 1, 2, 3 and 4 on the WFTDA side, and then there were 3 divisions on the MRDA side, the Men's Roller Derby Association side of the tournament. Very shortly we'll be bringing you the awards ceremony.
And you can see the victory hand slaps happening here, Brom, as everybody celebrates the win for this team. Of course, as we said, it is a gold medal win.
Look at the jubilation on Rebellion's face. And they should be happy with themselves. It was an astonishing game of roller derby. It just showed you the skill and the tact that they had and they brought into this game. Also a massive thank you to our wonderful producer who has brought us through the game, Loud and Queer, bringing us all of the stats.
And I do think, Brom, at this point it is worthwhile us just running through those rosters again of the 2 teams that played today, just to give them that final moment. Of course, Norfolk are going to be going away silver medal winners and Rebellion gold. So for Norfolk, we have number 17 Vixen Mortar, 173 Cruel Runnings, 1776 Filthy Delphia, number 20 Polyhedral, 212 Danger Moose, 25 Velociphy, 253 Jojo Yabari, 46 Penny Slane, number 5 Short Circuit, 79 Gem Warfare, 89 Kelly Kapowski, 915 Applebite, 97 Shell and 999 Danny Hell.
And in the Rebellion Roller Derby, our gold medal winning team in the Tier 2's WFTDA side final, 0-0 Vicky Vale, 1-0 Steph Sentence, 1-3 Boris, 1865 Unleasher, 2 Doyle, 2-0 Wreckham Ralph, 313 Ginger Snaps, 3-3 Jess Atomic, 4 Mischievous, 455 Booty Vicious, 626 Moonshine, 69 Hench, 7 Extra Celestial, 8 Dew Drop Her, and 88 Tina Turned Her. So Roller Derby British Championships is only a few years old, first founded in 2015, based on some smaller earlier formats since 2012, and is organised by an independent leadership committee made up of skaters and officials from around the British Isles. This year 74 teams entered, with approximately 200 games played across the season that started back in February. So the British Championships is aligned with the international governing bodies of our sport, the Women's Flat Track Derby Association and the Men's Roller Derby Association, as well as with our national governing body, the UK Roller Derby Association. So all that's left to say really from us is a massive thank you to everybody that made British Championships 2018. Please do join us for the tournament, and we'll be going live down to trackside for the award ceremony. I have been Brom.
And I've been the lovely Beatrix. You've all been an absolute pleasure.
And joining me to my right are two supreme skaters who have just played out the Tier 2 WSTDA final here at British Champs. With me is Doyle and Vix. If I could just turn to you first, Doyle, congratulations. You do take away the trophy. How did you find it out there?
It's always tough. We played Broads a few times now. We know it's a physical game, so we know what to expect. And we were mentally prepared ourselves, and it was tough. Like, don't be perceived by that scoreline, because they are hard-working, great opponents.
Fantastic. And Vix just came up a little bit short today with the win, but a great game nonetheless. That first period, it was very, very nip and tuck.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, we're very proud of our result. Obviously very proud of Rebellion as well, and they should be very proud of themselves. We weren't even really expecting to get to this game, to be honest, so this is like a bonus. We were astounded to win yesterday. We're through to Tier 1. We're chuffed.
Yes, of course, both now Tier 1. So does preparations change now? Does it get harder with the training, especially with Blitzkrieg?
We train pretty hard anyway, to be honest with you. So I don't know what's going to change. We're very consistent. We do want to spend a little bit of time on our B team, get them up at the same level as well. But generally, yeah, it's just full blown, no breaks. Just keep going hard at it.
Now, obviously, with the lead up to Champs, did the training become more aggressive? Was there more training days added when the run up to Champs?
We didn't have more training days. Things got more intense in the lead up. We have a sort of a peak a few weeks before, and then it sort of chills out so that we're ready and rested and our bodies are ready for Champs. But now going forward, we'll be taking a little bit of time to rest our bodies and get ourselves ready. We've got a little break before the season will start next year.
Yeah, it's time now just to kick back and relax a little bit. Enjoy what we've had this weekend, and you'll be rolling straight into Tier 1 games, which is very exciting. Is there any teams you're looking forward to meeting?
Well, I don't actually know who's in Tier 1 yet, so that's a bit of a hard question, but I'm looking forward to just playing harder, tougher opponents, continuously challenging ourselves. You know, that's what drives us. We set goals every year, and you know, Tier 1 was one of them. Winning that trophy was second one for my lounge, and now our last goal is to get top 30 in the rankings. So you know, that's our push now.
Absolutely. I think something we've noticed is that you've played games a lot of times together. It's been very much back and forth, and you can see there's a great rivalry, but it's a great friendship rivalry as well. And that's something we saw on track. And is it really like that in real life as well with you all?
Absolutely, we absolutely love playing Rebellion, and I'd say that's the team we're looking forward to playing in Tier 1, because that's who we know is going to be there.
We have a lot of mutual respect, because we both know that both teams train that hard, so you can't help but have respect for your opponents when you know they're gunning for it as well.
Absolutely. Now, I've known Norfolk for a while, and I know like they've come up these last few years, and like Philadelphia, the training programs have got bigger and bigger, and you've really been stepping it up these last few years. And Rebellion, last 2 years, boom, you know, literally out of nowhere, both teams have really stepped it up, and it's just amazing to see.
Thank you.
Wasn't really a question, but I apologize. Now, is there anyone you want to give shout out to at home? Because obviously we are on the beautiful BBC.
I just want to say to everyone that did tune in to support us and Roller Derby, thank you very much. You know, we're just, I haven't got words. I'm going to start getting choked up soon, because I just love my team. I love Roller Derby, everything about it, and I just want everyone to learn how great a sport is.
And what about you, Vix? Anyone back at home, or any shout outs to anybody?
Our supporters have been incredible. Our league has been incredible. Everyone who's been involved in putting together British Champs has been incredible. All the teams, all the organisers. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes, and it's amazing that we've been able to be on the BBC. So thank you for that opportunity, and I hope there's more to come.
Me too. We do hope there's more to come. But here from Stoke, after some amazing games we've had this weekend, we've had upsets, we've had close run games, we've had last jam wins. We hope you've enjoyed it. We do hope you do tune in next time we're on the BBC. But from me, Roller Polar Bear, from Doyle, from Vix, and from everybody in this arena, we would like to bid you a farewell. But don't go far. More games will be happening, hopefully, later this year. So, from me, ciao for now.